Italy was drowning. Not in water, but in pressure. Boat after boat reached its shores. Small islands became front lines. Reception centers built for hundreds suddenly held thousands. Local mayors warned of collapse. Police, hospitals, and volunteers were stretched thin. The sea never stopped delivering people, and the state seemed powerless to slow it down. Many believed Italy had lost control forever. But then something happened that shocked Europe. The numbers collapsed. Arrivals fell sharply. Routes went quiet. The chaos slowed. And the question everyone began asking was simple but unsettling. How did Italy solve the immigration crisis, and at what cost? Stay with this story until the end, because the answer is not what most people expect. For years, Italy carried one of Europe's heaviest migration burdens. Geography made it unavoidable. The Mediterranean routes from North Africa point straight toward Italian shores. Small boats launched from fragile states crossed dangerous waters with little chance of rescue if things went wrong. Thousands died along the way. Those who survived arrived exhausted, frightened, and often undocumented. Italy became the gatekeeper for an entire continent. At first, Italy responded with rescue and reception. Ports opened. Ships saved lives. Camps expanded. But goodwill alone could not keep pace with reality. As arrivals increased, systems broke down. Towns struggled to house newcomers. Schools lacked space. Jobs were scarce. Integration moved slowly. Public frustration grew louder, not because people lacked compassion, but because they felt overwhelmed. The crisis reached a breaking point when arrivals surged to levels no local system could absorb. Islands meant for tourism turned into holding zones. Residents protested. Local leaders demanded help. The immigration issue stopped being distant politics and became daily life. Trust in the government weakened. People wanted action, not speeches. Italy faced a choice. Continue reacting and managing chaos, or attempt something radical. What followed was not one law or one announcement. It was a strategy. Quiet, coordinated, and controversial. Italy did not try to stop migration with words. It changed the system that made irregular migration possible. The first step was simple in logic but huge in consequence. Italy decided that its borders would no longer begin at the coastline. They would begin far beyond it. Instead of waiting for boats to arrive, Italy pushed control outward. Cooperation with North African countries became the center of policy. Interceptions happened before boats reached open sea. Departures were disrupted closer to origin. The goal was clear: stop dangerous journeys before they start. This approach changed everything. Fewer boats launched. Smugglers faced more obstacles. Routes became uncertain. For migrants, the journey grew harder and riskier before it even began. For Italy, arrivals dropped fast. But this shift came with a moral weight. People were now stopped far from European eyes. Conditions were harsher. Oversight was weaker. The crisis did not disappear. It moved. Italy did not stop there. The second step targeted the business behind the boats. Smuggling networks had grown rich by exploiting desperation. Italy decided to break the system through punishment and pressure. Laws became stricter. Penalties increased. Smugglers faced long prison sentences. Anyone facilitating illegal crossings faced severe consequences. Rescue operations also changed. Ships that once docked freely faced new rules. They were sent to distant ports. They were limited in how many rescues they could perform. Violations led to fines, seizures, and investigations. The message was unmistakable. The sea would no longer be an open door. This was one of the most controversial moves Italy made. Supporters said it restored order. Critics said it punished compassion. But the effect was real. Rescue capacity declined. Smugglers could no longer rely on quick pickup near shore. The journey lost its safety net. For many, considering the crossing, the risk became too high. Yet Italy understood something crucial. Control alone does not end migration. People move because they need work, safety, and dignity. So Italy introduced a third pillar that surprised many critics. It opened legal doors, while closing illegal ones. Italy expanded work permits across key sectors. Farms, construction sites, logistics hubs, and care services needed labor. Instead of forcing people into illegal crossings, Italy offered controlled legal paths. Migrants who qualified could enter safely, work legally, and contribute openly. This undercut smugglers in the most direct way possible. It made them unnecessary. This combination changed incentives. Why risk death at sea when a legal job offered stability? Why pay traffickers when a visa offered safety? The system did not rely on kindness or fear alone. It relied on structure. The result was dramatic. Arrivals by sea fell sharply. Reception centers emptied. Pressure eased. Italy regained something it had lost for years: control, for the first time. The state dictated the terms instead of reacting to chaos. But control came at a price. Offshore processing centers raised legal challenges. Courts pushed back. Human rights groups warned of erosion of rescue obligations. Detention periods lengthened. Legal appeals slowed removals. Deportations remained limited. Many migrants stayed in limbo. Italy did not solve every part of the crisis. It did not end migration. It redirected it. Routes shifted. Pressure moved elsewhere. Some suffering became invisible instead of resolved. And yet the collapse in arrivals could not be denied. For ordinary Italians, the change was tangible. Towns regained calm. Systems recovered. Trust in government improved. People felt heard again. Politically, the strategy worked. It delivered visible results in a way few governments had managed before. For Europe, the shock was deeper. Italy showed that migration flows could be reduced quickly if a government was willing to absorb controversy. Other countries took notice. Ideas once dismissed became models under discussion. Offshore processing. Externalized borders. Controlled legal entry. Italy had rewritten the rulebook. The moral question remains unresolved. Is preventing arrivals the same as preventing suffering? Does deterrence save lives or hide tragedy? Does control protect society or harden it? Italy's strategy forces Europe to confront these questions honestly. What makes Italy's case surprising is not just the outcome. It is the method. Italy did not rely on ideology. It relied on pressure, incentives, and coordination. It accepted legal battles, criticism, and cost. It chose results over comfort. This story is not about celebrating or condemning. It is about understanding. Italy did not find a perfect solution. It found a functional one. A way to slow chaos and restore order. Whether it lasts depends on law, cooperation, and political will. The immigration crisis did not end. It changed shape. And Italy's approach proved one powerful truth. Systems matter more than slogans. Incentives shape behavior. And governments that act decisively can change outcomes faster than anyone expects to. Understand why Italy's approach mattered so much. You have to understand fear. Not fear created by hatred, but fear created by loss of control. For years, Italians felt decisions were being made far away, while consequences landed on their streets. When borders feel open but support feels limited, trust breaks down. Italy's strategy worked politically because it addressed that feeling first. It told citizens that the state was present again, that someone was steering the ship. At the same time, Italy's actions sent a message beyond its borders. Migration is not just about movement. It is about signals. When routes appear easy, flows increase. When rules tighten, behavior changes. Migrants could no longer assume entry after arrival. The journey stopped, looking guaranteed. This shift changed calculations in villages far from Europe. Families considering the crossing heard new stories. Boats being stopped earlier. Detention lasting longer. Fewer rescues. At the same time, word spread about legal work permits. The message was no longer cross and stay. It became apply or risk everything. That single change reshaped decision making. Still, Italy's success hides fragile foundations. External cooperation depends on unstable partners. Agreements with North African countries rely on politics that can change overnight. Funding can dry up. Governments can fall. If those partnerships weaken, roots may reopen quickly. Italy's control is real, but not permanent. There is also the legal battlefield. Courts remain a powerful check. Judges have already blocked transfers, questioned offshore detention, and challenged rescue restrictions. Law moves slower than policy, but it does not disappear. Italy's model walks a narrow line. One ruling can force a redesign. One scandal can reverse momentum. Then there is the human cost that statistics cannot show. When arrivals fall, deaths may not appear in European records, but danger does not vanish. It shifts into deserts, prisons, and forgotten camps. Some migrants disappear from view, not from suffering. This is the hardest part of Italy's story. Control and compassion no longer travel together. Yet ignoring this reality does not make it go away. Italy learned that doing nothing creates its own form of cruelty. Chaos overwhelms systems. Public anger grows. Extreme politics rise. Inaction also costs lives. Boats still sink. Camps still overflow. Italy chose intervention over paralysis. This is why the story divides opinions so deeply. Both sides see truth. Supporters see restored order and fewer crossings. Critics see displaced suffering and weakened humanitarian norms. Italy's strategy forces a painful question that Europe avoided for years. What happens when moral duty collides with capacity? Italy did not answer this question cleanly. It answered it pragmatically. It accepted trade-offs. It absorbed criticism. It paid a high price financially and legally, but it changed outcomes. And in politics, outcomes matter. For other countries, this is the real lesson. Italy's model cannot be copied blindly. Geography, law, and public opinion differ, but the logic travels. Migration responds to systems, not speeches. Flows follow incentives. Chaos grows where rules are unclear. If Europe wants fewer dangerous crossings, it must decide where enforcement begins. If it wants humane migration, it must invest in legal pathways. If it wants public trust, it must show control. Italy combined all three. Imperfectly, but decisively. The future remains uncertain. If legal migration expands too slowly, illegal routes may return. If external partners withdraw, pressure may rebound. If courts strike down key measures, policy may fracture. Italy's solution is not locked in stone. It must be constantly maintained. What Italy truly solved was not migration itself, but a moment of crisis. It stopped a spiral. It bought time, and time matters. Time allows systems to breathe. Time allows politics to stabilize. Time allows societies to debate without panic. The deeper challenge still lies ahead. Integration, social cohesion, shared identity. These cannot be enforced at borders. They require patience, investment, and honesty. Italy's crackdown addressed entry. It did not solve belonging, and that may be the final surprise. Borders can be hardened quickly. Trust cannot. Laws can be passed in days. Unity takes generations. Italy chose the fast tool first. Whether it follows with the slow work will define the future. So when people say Italy solved the immigration crisis, they are partly right. Italy solved disorder. It solved unpredictability. It solved political paralysis. But it did not solve the human story behind movement itself. Migration is older than nations. It rises with conflict, poverty, and hope. No wall, law, or deal can erase it forever. But systems can shape how it unfolds. Italy proved that clearly. Now the question belongs to everyone watching. Should Europe build stronger systems or softer values? Can it do both? Can control exist without cruelty? Can compassion exist without collapse? Italy forced these questions into the open. And whether one agrees or disagrees with its choices, one thing is undeniable. Italy changed the conversation. And once a conversation changes, there is no going back. If you want to understand how governments really manage crises behind the headlines, keep paying attention. Ask hard questions. Challenge simple answers. And stay engaged, because the choices being made today will shape borders, lives, and societies for decades to come.